Okay, greetings everyone. This is First Centaurian 753, starting a new series. This is a series requested by the Patreon supporter Dominic. This series is going to be about the African country of... where'd you go there? Somalia. Okay, so Somalia is a military totalitarian regime, authoritarian political tendency. Capital Mogadishu, 11 million people. Mostly desert, arid climate. GDP of 2.5 billion. Growth rate of 2%. Unemployment of atrocious unemployment rate of 46%. That's horrible. 15% inflation. Those are two big problems right away. Debt to GDP ratio is actually not that bad. There's not a lot of debt in this country. GDP per capita is horrible. 220 per person. Army's at 16,000, and that's the elections? I guess there are elections. I thought it was more of a dictatorship, but let's go in and see. It is one party, Congress, the National Muslim Union, and the Congress does not have any political power. It's just a consultative role there. So here we are playing an African country. On the Horn of Africa, playing East Coast African country. Africa, for the most part, has one of the worst geopolitical positions in the world as a continent. Not a lot of natural harbors, not a lot of navigable rivers. Even though the game, I don't think navigable rivers or harbors really play a huge role in the game, but that's one of the reasons why Africa's had such a hard time developing historically, or geopolitical scientists or geographic determinists would say that Africa has had one of the worst, because of its geographic position, has one of the most difficult times developing historically over the years. Europe had one of the best geopolitical positions to develop. Also, you could break Africa down to different regions, I guess. North Africa, with its access to the Mediterranean, probably gave it a much bigger advantage, and South Africa actually has a decent geopolitical position. Climate-wise, South Africa is a pretty good situation. They're actually in a temperate climate zone, where most of the rest of Africa is in that equatorial zone there, which causes a lot of problems: monsoons, severe weather, drought. Warmer weather causes more diseases. Europe, having a winter, killed out all the germs and everything. Similar situation down here in South Africa. But a lot of different factors go in from geography. Geography, it's an interesting field to read about, the geographic deterministic field, how people argue that the geography determines the history. So, and this being a geopolitical simulator, would be a valid topic to discuss. Well, I don't know. I don't think the game necessarily portrays all the geopolitical factors as well as it could, but for a game, I'm pretty happy with this game, Geopolitical Simulator 4. I enjoy it. Somalia is facing civil war. 4 different factions involved in this civil war. Let's see here. We have Somalia. We have the Puntland Free Front, the Somaliland Autonomous League, and the Total Jihad. 4 different groups here. And I guess if you click on them, yeah, you can see the numbers. Let me go into, I can actually click on them. Total Jihad is based here in the south. We are the government that is recognized by the UN, at least. I'm not playing this as a revolutionary group, but there are 3 different revolutionary groups. You have the Total Jihad here. This is more of an international group, while the other 2 are more local, regional groups. They are jihadist political tendency, Sunni religion, 1.6 million sympathizers, 6,800 fighters, 184 mercenaries, and 104 armed pickup trucks, mostly concentrated down here in the southern provinces here. The southern province, and then Bay. That's a province. So I guess it's really these 2 provinces. I don't see any of their bases. And they don't occupy any cities. But moving to the north, this is Puntland. And they are fighting for their independence here. They are probably the least hostile of the 2 groups, as far as influence is concerned. Of the 3 groups, excuse me. They are a right-wing independent party. 2.2 million sympathizers, 10,000 fighters, 415 mercenaries, 54 tanks, and 113 armed pickup trucks. So that is a hostile, and they do control, I think, all the cities in this region here. So we're gonna have to try to retake that. And then to the north, Somaliland. Also, the city's under control of a rebel group, the Somaliland Autonomous League. They are socialist independent, so they'd be more on the left side. 4 million sympathizers, 8,000 fighters, 285 mercenaries, 95 tanks, and 146 armed pickup trucks. They seem to be the toughest. So that is that situation. Let's take a look at our economics. Taxes. We actually don't have a lot of taxes established yet. There is no income tax, which is going to be probably the first thing I'm going to try to create here. But a lot of taxes have not been created. No tax on large fortune, no tax on vehicle registration, no tax on airline tickets, internet access, pet tax. I never heard of that one. Tax on redundancies. Not sure exactly what it means. Tax on financial transactions. No, that's usually not in most countries. No tobacco, liquor, or wine tax. The sin tax, the categories there. Tourist tax on entering the territory. Tax on salt, animal fats in the agricultural areas. Tax on deforestation. Oh, there's a lot of forest there with the desert climate. Tax on industrial pollution. So yeah, some of these taxes you do see a lot, some of them you don't. So I think income tax is definitely one that I may try to pass right away. There's exonerations here. What is my political tendency? I forgot. Somalia. Oh, I guess it's, I don't know if it's right wing or left wing. I guess you don't have to worry about it because it's a military dictatorship. You don't have to worry about political tendencies. So that's that. But usually military would be more right. I don't know. I don't want to say that. Could be either way. We have one port. Let's check out our army here. How are we going to fight these guys? Comparisons, because we just did all the other comparisons. We have 16,000 soldiers in our army. Right there, 16.5 thousand soldiers. There's 14,000 reserves. 66 commandos. Tanks. 108 missiles. We're gonna need more missiles for sure, I think. Decent amount of tanks. We have the most tanks in the country for sure. 35 missile launchers too. That's a big advantage. One frigate, and that's it. No air force whatsoever. One naval base right there with 200 soldiers. Back to the army. Bases, construction. We have 4 land bases, 1 naval base. Not in the best situation, Somalia. Very difficult situation. Economically, back to taxes. Let's check this out. The budget. Total income is really low, only 920 million. But our expenses are only 932 million. So therefore, there should be a slight excess, I'm assuming there. Slight budget excess. So, with the income tax, we'll definitely be able to pay off some more taxes. I'm definitely going to go for an income tax right away. Another thing I might want to do is try to include the UN. Most countries around the world do not like Somalia. Somalia. We don't have good relations here. But if we can get the UN to join us right away, maybe against the Total Jihad, I think. Because the Total Jihad is an international group, and there are countries right now fighting the Total Jihad throughout the world, so I'm assuming that might be a good situation. I don't think I can really do the typical healthcare reform that I do. It's really not that much money. Usually it would be worth a lot more. So I think that is out. That's one of my typical opening moves when I play this game. So that, I think, is out. Let's take a look at... well, there's no political parties. Unions, there are a decent amount of unions. It seems to be pretty common. Typical union. There's a sheep union, which is definitely not something that's common. Milk union. I've never seen that one before, I don't think. Banks, agriculture, aircraft carriers, when we don't have aircraft carriers, of course. Why, that is in like every country for some reason. It's just ridiculous why it's there. Why it's even there. And then 3 big unions that are like general workers unions. Labor union rights are recognized and implemented. So we do have rights to labor unions. So that's there. Associations. There are only 6 associations here. Associations are free. They are completely free in this country. AIDS, animals, AIDS, take a look at AIDS, 460. That's a big one in Africa, I guess. AIDS is a big epidemic here. So I might try to reduce the AIDS rate a little bit. Anti-racism, about 200,000 there. And there's an Arab group, so they probably would be similar. Senior citizens and humanitarian. That's a big group. That might be the biggest. I think it is. The humanitarian group is the biggest. Okay. So those are our associations. Get out of there. Political parties, like I said, there's just the one. The authoritarian National Muslim Union. So we're going to have to deal with that. Allow one party to control the state. That is the status of the situation with political parties. Religion is pretty much all Sunni. A little bit of atheists. Terminal level of religious freedom. Complete freedom for religious. That's interesting. Even though you have a military dictatorship, you have complete religious freedom in a Muslim country. That's interesting. What else do we have here? Parliament. Like I showed you before, there's just one party, and Parliament itself. No. I could dissolve Parliament. I don't want to do that. Right now, Parliament is just a consultative role with no real power, so there's no reason to dissolve it. At least give the people something, right? Make them think that we're listening. And determine powers of Parliament. We did that. Change system for elections in Parliament. Majority election. Parliament's term is every 5 years. Authorized use of referendum. No, we're not going there. Elections. Let's see here. Length of head of state is, oh wow. We only have, so I guess there is going to be a presidential election, even though Parliament has no power. The people do still elect the head of state here, and it's every 4 years. Election system. Majority. Legal voting age is 18. Two-turn system. I hate the two-term. Well, I like the two-term and unlimited. Okay, that's good. I do like the two-term in the real world. I think it's actually a pretty interesting system. Maybe better than the system that we have here in the United States. But for this game, I hate it. I hate having to deal with two-turn. What else did I want to take a look at before we start? I think that's about everything. Culture, sports. Oh, check out education. Education numbers have to be horrible. Higher education students, number of students in higher education, that is atrocious. Literacy rate is at 62%. Primary school attendance rate is 38. Look at a teacher per student. That's actually not bad, 19. That's not a bad number. I'll take that. For my classroom, personally. But not a lot of educational budget priorities being funded here. So not a lot of money in the government. Schools, 10,000 primary education schools in a country of 11 million. So I guess that's every 11,000 people there is a school. How many of those people are kids? I don't know. I don't know how to figure out the proper ratio numbers for schools per population. But higher education is definitely not a good number. We want to improve. We'll definitely want to expand on higher education. Probably expand more on secondary education too. For every 10,000 schools, there's only one high school. We got to work on that, I think. So definitely things to do with education. Healthcare is probably going to be more pressing concern though. We're looking at healthcare numbers here. Child mortality rate. Oh my god. What is 100%? How does that work? I don't know how that works. Life expectancy is 52. That is horrible. We're gonna have to do some stuff with health. Population per medical doctor, almost 1,000 per medical bed is not much better. And deaths due to AIDS for every 100,000 people is 22. I think that's pretty low for an African country, right? Is it? I don't know. We'll have to check that out. So healthcare is not looking great. Let's take a look at work real quick here. GDP per capita, unemployment rate. Alright, these are numbers we already saw. I wanted to look up minimum wage. There is no minimum wage in this country. Definitely not a minimum solidarity. Oh! A minimum solidarity allowance is here. 46-hour week. That's kind of long. Job seekers. Nothing for job seekers at all. Okay, work, and there's a lot of programs here we could probably... Checks on unemployment receiving payment. Unemployment's got to be killing us. We got to do something about unemployment right away. So, what other things do we want to look at? Housing. Housing's probably horrible. Dilapidated houses. 39,000, almost as many as we have houses in construction. That is not a good situation. Unhealthy housing situation is at 97. Rate of urbanization. Jeez, this country is a mess. I'm not even going to go to research or bother with any of these. Sports. Do we have any sports going on? Nothing. Nothing for sports. FIFA ranking is 205. That's horrible. Okay, that stuff we'll worry about later. Transportation. Cars per capita. Not a lot of roads. That's it. 13 miles of roads in all Somalia. We got to do something with infrastructure. Have to improve that. Immigration. Probably immigration. Yeah, negative rate of immigration. People are leaving. Not that many, though. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is a lot. 100,000 people are leaving Somalia. A lot of problems in this country. Lots of problems. But let's see. Debt is not too high in billions. We only have, looks like 790 million debt, but not a lot of income. So the first action is going to be to create an income tax, which we're going to start right off the bat. I'm going to poll on this issue, and it looks like the problem is definitely in favor of it. People are not necessarily in favor of it, so that's probably going to give us a big hit right away, and I'm going to have to use some money, I think, to get back. But this will give us a $10 million increase, which will give us a surplus that we can hopefully start paying down that debt. And incrementally, I'm going to raise these income taxes as time goes on. Let's confirm that. And the people are going to hate me. Let's look at the impact here. And I'm going to have to start taking action right away against these military forces, to be honest with you. So let me get the impact, and then I'm going to probably reevaluate my... I'm just going to go through one day here pretty much in this introductory episode. And then maybe I'll do a little statistical comparison at the end. One day, and then I want to hear your comments on how you guys think I should approach this country. Should I approach with a neoliberal tax policy? Should I try... Oh man, look at that. That was a big hit. So in order to counter that, we're going to come in with some healthcare expenses right away. Healthcare expenses. Fighting AIDS. That's $3 million. So that'll win over that AIDS group. And I'm going to also try to win over the old folks and fully fund geriatric departments. And I don't know what happened there. That's weird. Let's go ahead and get this on our side. I also need to spend a little bit on... Let me see. Well, I gotta spend on the army. We have to do stuff with the army here. Let's get that popularity boost up. We might go through a couple days here. I'm gonna go through 1 or 2 days in this introductory episode with some initial moves that I had planned. Hoping this will give me... Boom! Nice. Nice bump. Not the biggest bump.
I think you're doing a good job.
But we can get her an endorsement from the oldest person. That always gives a huge bump. For some reason, that oldest person, they bring in a big boost for your popularity. We'll get some from this guy too, but I'm gonna change this date to next week, and we'll take the popularity boost next week. That takes care of that. And
this is a complex battle.
There are rebels in our territory. This is where they're going to recommend us going to the UN. So, that's something I'm going to start out right off the bat, too. I'm going to ask the UN, request authorization for military intervention against the terrorist army. And we'll start with the total jihad in Somalia. So we got 3 different armies we're fighting against here. So I'll start with total jihad, and we'll see if we can get that request. Health, old folks, and the fight against cancer all made a comeback. Did I want to spend other money? I could try. I don't think I could try. I was going to ask one of these groups, see if they want to agree to a treaty, but I think I have to retake the cities before I do that. So we're going to definitely move to retake some of these cities here. Oh, Secret Service. We need to spend there. It's definitely going to hurt our budgets early on, but agent training. Agent training, we'll put it at half, I guess. Fight against terrorism has to be fully funded. That's weird these numbers end up doing that. I don't know what the numbers are supposed to be. Budget economy in millions. That's so weird. Okay. And no, wait, did that happen? No, we didn't keep it. That says 8 million. Then it drops to 6. That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna confirm it. Go ahead and confirm those changes. And we're gonna have to be infiltrating these guys right away, right off the bat. Constant infiltration of these groups is going to be required to try to reduce their size. I'll see what type of advantage we can get there. Going before the UN, that's us. UN Tribune.
I am solemnly addressing the UN
Small anti-terrorism bump up there.
I ask it to weigh the threat represented by this terrorist organization that ignores human rights, violates international conventions, and places the stability of this strategic region in danger. Sirs, members of the Council, it is necessary to act without delay and authorize a military intervention before the inevitable occurs.
Okay. Okay. And I think there are some military moves I am going to make early on. We are going to start off. Let's go to the military situation. I have a base here. I got about 2,000 troops, 34 tanks, 8 missile launchers. And here we've got another 2,000 troops. So I think... What do we got down here? 5,000. I think I'm going to need them to fight off the total jihad in the region. 5,000. So, first thing we can do is deploy the cruiser, I think. Because they could fire missiles. Oh yeah, and let me get this military budget up here. First things first, we're doubling the amount of missiles. Double that to 200. One-time cost of 35 million. Okay. More missiles on the way. So we're going to deploy that cruiser so they can launch against targets there. I'm going to begin to deploy some of my forces too. Let's send these tanks out. And we're going to need the soldiers. I think we're going to launch the attack there. Let me actually send the... well, we'll get the tanks later. Here, these 34 tanks, I'm definitely going to go ahead and send them into the city. Deploy these missile launchers a little closer. And I'll deploy these soldiers towards the city. Alright, so we're going to have some initial military moves here. We're going to try to retake this city to the north and work our way up. Puntland. Wow, there's a lot of cities to capture. Okay, and then we'll have to turn against Somaliland. So one at a time, but I'm also going to have to keep a force down here in the southern region to fight off the total jihad. Hopefully we can get allied UN forces in here to fight them off, and we'll see what that situation is. So this is definitely going to be a combat series early on. But the other goals for this series, which I forgot to mention, the goals for the series are to stabilize the region, and this is the Patreon request, was to stabilize Somalia and to increase wealth. And a long time ago, I had a subscriber request or challenge, give me sort of like a Somalian challenge to raise the GDP per capita in Somalia up to 5,000, which is a huge challenge. And that's going to be my challenge for this series, I think. Stabilize the country and raise GDP to 5,000 per capita. Let me know if you guys want to see any other goals. If you have any other goals for this series of Somalia, I don't know how long it's going to last. This is a much more unstable situation than I'm used to playing with. These unstable countries, particularly the African countries, you can lose them pretty quickly, especially with the civil war. So how long this series is going to go on, I don't know. This is one of the worst starting positions I've had, I think, in this game, in a long time at least. Somalia is definitely a challenge, and I think there is a scenario for Somalia as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Patreon support is appreciated. And again, if anyone wants any other series, feel free to donate to Patreon, and yours will be the first. So this is the first series that I'm choosing after the end of the neoliberal Brazil series. And you know, I got a lot of good comments out there from people with a lot of interesting scenarios, which I do want to get to them. But Patreons will get first support, first priority when it comes to series, and that's what we're doing here. So thanks for watching. Appreciate the support. You can donate to me on Patreon, the link below. Let me know if you do. Let me know if you want to see a new series. Also, there's Twitch. I haven't been doing much Twitch lately, but I might be getting into that soon. Maybe in a couple weeks. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.